Hello and welcome to the dungeon. I'm your host Rob. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Fey Wanderer subclass for the Ranger. This is from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, of course, and I kind of like this subclass. I think it's kind of an interesting idea. I think the Ranger, I mentioned this in my last video as well, the Ranger multi-class tier video. I think Ranger is the class that has probably benefited the most over time from additional materials. When we look back at the player's handbook, you know, the Beastmaster was pretty weak and was widely considered to be probably the worst subclass in the game by many people. I mean, you do have competition from every monk subclass from back then as well, but the Beastmaster was not in a good spot. And then you had the Hunter, which was generally considered a better one. But even then, I don't know that the Hunter was like as good as some of the subclasses that it was competing with from other classes, you know. But I do feel like Ranger's getting like spells added to a bunch of the subclasses, just more spells in general, of course, and especially some more summoning spells. Like Tasha's gave us things like Summon Beast and Summon Fey, things like that. And Ranger's already had some pretty good summon type spells. And of all the half casters, they're the ones that I think personally are the best spell casters of the half casters. Artificer is definitely right up there with them. But especially with Paladin, it doesn't matter as much because many Paladins just use their spell slots predominantly for smiting, right? They might cast the odd spell here and there, but mostly they're just going to smite. But Rangers, you know, you've got a nice variety of spells. You've got some nice healing spells, of course. You've got some summons. You have like really great spells like Pass Without Trace and stuff as well. So I feel like Rangers, especially for a half caster, you can actually be doing a lot with your concentration beyond just like Hunter's Mark, for example. And that's not a shot at Hunter's Mark. Hunter's Mark's a fine spell, right? I'm just saying that I find a lot of times Rangers just only think Hunter's Mark forever and really don't like concentrate on a lot. Well, that wasn't meant to be a concentration pun. But anyways, don't look at any of the other things they could be using their concentration on instead. And Hunter's Mark is really, really good when you're low level and you're not doing a lot of damage. Adding an extra d6 to your damage, or you know, an extra 2d6 if you're level 5, you get that second attack, right? Possibly even using a bonus action attack. If you cast Hunter's Mark one round, then you're able to use your bonus action to attack in subsequent rounds. That damage just keeps getting applied over and over and over again, right? But that damage starts to pale in comparison to having like a battlefield worth of conjured animals and stuff, which are all like attacking or casting spells or even just occupying space. You know, there's a lot of things you can be doing as a Ranger. So anyways, enough of that preamble. Let's get into the actual Fey Wanderer itself. So at level 3, you're going to get a couple different abilities. First is Dreadful Strikes. You can augment your weapon strikes with mind-searing magic drawn from the gloomy hollows of the Feywild. When you hit a creature with a weapon, you can deal an extra 1d4 psychic damage to the target, which can take this extra damage only once per turn. This extra damage increases to 1d6 when you reach 11th level in this class. So that's fairly comparable to most Ranger subclasses. They usually have some way of boosting the damage up. But one thing of note with this is that it does not require like an action or bonus action. And some do require a bonus action, which means it starts competing with things like, you know, if you had a bonus action attack, it starts competing with bonus action spells. It might be competing with Hex or other things you want to do with that bonus action. I like that this does not. It'd be even nicer if it applied to like more than one attack per turn. But, you know, just the fact that, hey, I'm attacking something, I can just do extra damage. That's still pretty good. There's no cap on how often you can use it. It's not using your concentration. It's just more damage. And there is a bit of scaling, although it's not till 11th level. That is fairly late. But, you know, whatever. It's still not a bad ability. You also get Fey Wanderer Magic. This is going to be your subclass specific spell list. So at level 3, you're going to get Charm Person. At level 5, you get Misty Step. At level 9, you get Dispel Magic. 13, you get Dimension Door. And 17, you get Mislead. So Charm Person, I'm not the biggest fan of. It can be good under like a lot of social circumstances. The problem is that if you're not going Wisdom, the spell save DC is not going to be great. Now, you could go Wisdom, of course. You could take the Druidic Warrior fighting style, maybe take like a Shillelagh cantrip and concentrate on Wisdom more, in which case you can like take advantage of that spell casting even better. But usually that's not how Rangers choose to go. I'm saying that is a good option though. I think it's even better with some options, like say Beastmaster, if you take your, Spirit of the Land and it like knocks things down with this charge attack and gives you advantage, and then you beat on them with Shillelagh. That's actually not too bad. But, even if you're using like a bow or a longbow or, or crossbow or whatever it might happen to be, it's still not a bad ability. You still have Misty Step at level 5 and Dimension Door at level 13. More mobility, of course, is excellent. Especially if I'm playing a melee build, more mobility is really good. But even if I'm playing a ranged build, let's say I'm using a longbow, for example, so I don't have crossbow expert. If somebody gets up in my face, I might have disadvantage to attack. If I move, I'm giving up an opportunity attack. I can just cast Misty Step as a bonus action, though. Blink away, not give up an opportunity attack, and then just keep shooting without giving up disadvantage. Dimension Door, of course, even more mobility, but, not till 13th level. And in the middle, we have Dispel Magic, which is a fine spell as well. So, overall, I think it's a pretty decent spell list. You also, have the Preternatural Blessing from a Fey Ally, or a Place of Fey Power. And then there's like a gift table you can roll on that gives you like, often like weird, but possibly cosmetic, but interesting roleplay stuff like, antlers or illusionary butterfly wings and stuff like that. That's kind of interesting. You also get Otherworldly Glamour at level 3. Your Fey qualities give you a supernatural charm. As a result, whenever you make a charisma check, you gain a bonus to the check equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of +1. That's actually pretty good because you're probably not going to have a high charisma. One problem you tend to have with Ranger is you probably need either strength or dex. I'm going to presume dex for this video, but keep in mind that there are strength builds that are also viable, right? I just don't want to have to keep explaining that over and over again, so we're going to say dex for the most part. So if you need dex and wisdom, probably some constitution, something's got to be a dump stat, and it's probably not going to be, it's probably going to be charisma. Even at best, it's going to be like 12 or whatever, right? But getting to add your wisdom bonus to the modifier, plus maybe a small charisma bonus on top of that, that's actually not bad. Anyways, in addition, you gain proficiency in one of the following skills of your choice: deception, performance, or persuasion. So, that's okay. You get a charisma skill, and you can use your wisdom bonus plus your charisma bonus. Not bad. Level 7, Beguiling Twist. The magic of the Feywild guards your mind. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. Those are two pretty common conditions, so I don't mind that at all. In addition, whenever you or a creature you can see within 120 feet of you succeeds on a saving throw against being charmed or frightened, you can use your reaction to force a different creature you can see within 120 feet of you to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. If the save fails, the target is charmed or frightened by you, your choice, for 1 minute. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a successful save. Notice though that it doesn't end if it takes damage. So that's pretty good as well. Those are pretty common abilities, right? Like charmed and frightened come up quite a bit. It doesn't have to be you either. It could just be like anybody else you see that's within the range. And 120 feet is a pretty big range. So, being able to like fear something else that tried to fear you could be all right. Again, though, note that it is a wisdom save against your spell save DC that might not be super reliable, and it is only going to be one target. So, but whatever. I've seen worse abilities, and, you do have advantage as well on top of that. I think it's pretty decent. Level 11, we get Fey Reinforcements. The Royal Courts of the Feywild have blessed you with the assistance of Fey beings. Summon Fey, a spell in Chapter 3, which of course is a pretty decent spell actually. It doesn't count against the number of ranger spells you know, and you can cast it without a material component. You can also cast it once without a spell slot, and you regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. Whenever you start casting the spell, you can modify it so it doesn't require concentration. If you do so, the spell's duration becomes 1 minute for that casting. That can be decent though in combat, allowing you to concentrate on something else, including possibly other summoned creatures. In general, I quite like the Tasha's summoning spells as well. I like that I don't have to go through like 3 or 4 different tomes of monsters trying to find, the one with appropriate CR, and you don't have to worry about like, oh wait, is this a spell where I get to choose, or does the dungeon master choose? If I choose, 8 beings of like quarter CR or less, am I going to get stuck with, a bunch of crap the DM wanted to give me? Or worse yet, if I choose like 1 being of like CR2 or less, am I going to get that 1/4 being that I could have had 8 of instead of 1? None of those types of issues. I just find that they're pretty much streamlined and also very useful. So, again, a spell that's already pretty good, and you could use it without concentration, even better. Level 15, we get the Misty Wanderer ability. You can slip in and out of the Feywild to move in the blink of an eye. You can cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot. You can do so a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, minimum once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. In addition, whenever you cast Misty Step, you can bring along one willing creature you can see within 5 feet of you. That creature teleports to an unoccupied space of your choice within 5 feet of your destination space. So, kind of like turning it into a dimension door, but with way shorter range, but you can actually bring someone with you. Again, this starts setting up a lot of like strategic options on the battlefield, and I find this to be pretty handy, especially like I said on a melee character where mobility and range becomes a lot more of an issue. If you're sitting back with a longbow, mobility is still nice, but it's not as much of a premium because you can probably shoot them from 600 feet away if you have to. But even still, there might be times when you need to take somebody with you, and this becomes a pretty good option. But especially on a melee focused character, Misty Step is already a great spell. Being able to do it without a spell slot, even better. You do have limited spell slots, and being able to take somebody else with you, like I said, opens up a whole host of strategic options that you otherwise might not have had. So overall, I think the Fey Wanderer is quite a good subclass. Obviously, let's be honest, Gloomstalker is still probably the best ranger subclass. That subclass just has so much going for it, especially at level 3. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But I do like the Fey Wanderer a lot. I think it's definitely one of the strongest ones, and overall, I think it's pretty solid. Like I said, the spell list is pretty decent. There's a bit of added damage there as well. There's also a lot of mobility, which I quite like. And overall, there's just a lot of good things there. So anyways, those are my thoughts on the Fey Wanderer. Our next video, we're going to be taking a look at the revised Beastmaster. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, the Player's Handbook Beastmaster was widely considered to be terrible. And I don't think that's actually an unfair analysis, to be honest. But the revised one is quite a bit better, and mostly it's just because the animal companions are much stronger and just give you way better options. So that's going to be the next video. We're going to be looking at that. I'm also going to be doing a video where we're going to look at a multi-class build using Gloomstalker, because, why not? We've got to give them some attention. They are probably the best. but anyways, so that's going to be the video after that. I'm not sure how many Ranger videos I'm going to do, but I haven't actually covered a lot of subclasses. And I do want to do the Monster Slayer at some point. It's probably not going to be much of a spoiler alert to say that the Monster Slayer is a little disappointing, when you read the subclass, it's pretty clear they were going for this like Van Helsing or like The Witcher or something along those kind of lines. And while the themes and ideas behind the subclass are really interesting and cool, the actual implementation isn't really the strongest, unfortunately. But you know, whatever. So that's what's on the horizon. We've got some more Ranger videos coming up, and then of course we're going to be moving on to the Rogue multi-class tier list, and we'll do some Rogue videos after that. But we haven't really done a lot of Ranger lately, so I think this will be nice to get a few Ranger subclasses out of the way, and even like a Ranger multi-class build as well, of course, because I love multi-classing. So, you know, why not? But anyways, that's everything. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and most importantly, leave me your comments in the comment section. I read every single comment. So that's everything. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.